G'day everyone, welcome back to the Short Ball Podcast. And today we've got on with us a very special guest in the NRL roast. G'day mate, how you going?
Fantastic, Jacob. Thanks very much for having me on, mate. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate that. Look, today we're going to go through a bit of the news that's going around, in particular the All-Stars match. How good is it to have a little bit of footy coming back on, eh?
Mate, what do we got? Tuesday, first team list Tuesday of the season, which is awesome. And 4 sleeps, I think, till the big game. So excited to have a bit of footy back on the TV.
Yeah, I can't wait personally. It's going to be a cracker of a game. Team list came out. They look like two really high quality sides, although there is sort of that point that everyone keeps bringing up about the players that are missing. I just want to get your thoughts on this. The Maori chairman, John Devonshire, quoted saying about Joey Manu. He's seen that quote about he was very keen being a proud Maori lad, but the Roosters said no, which is disappointing. He said then the clubs seem to think they are bigger than the game, and that is a shame. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, it's a hard one, isn't it? He's if you asked him, he'd want to play no matter what, but you know, he's coming back from an injury, a pretty severe injury in the face as well. So they want to protect him, make sure he's right to go for round one. If that means, you know, missing this, an important game, a very important game, we must remember that. But if that means missing this one, so he's fit for round one, look, you know, I have to sort of side with the club here. They want him for the full season. If he goes out there and does re-injure it, and if he's not quite ready, then you know, he could be missing for, you know, upwards of half of the season. So they don't want that, and they want him fit and ready for round one. Like I said, if you ask Joey, he'd run out there with, you know, busted arm, busted leg. But, you know, Unfortunately, it's not up to him. And, it's sad that we won't get to see him out there, but, you know, it's exciting that we'll get to see him fit and ready to go in round one.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking in terms of Joey Manu not being allowed to play. Imagine Latrell. This could have been the perfect opportunity for the NRL to just have the Latrell versus Manu rematch in a preseason game. It's becoming such a proud tradition between two strong teams. So imagine the opportunity they had there. In general, I would have liked to seen the top players playing this game because it is an advertisement for the game as well in the preseason. And like everyone wants to get out and represent their culture as much as they can. And it's disappointing not to see the likes of, you know, Kalen Ponga's another one that's sat down for this game, and Latrell Mitchell and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed, and I get where both sides of the party, both sides of it are sort of coming from, where obviously you'd love to have them play, but the clubs also want their players for the whole season.
Absolutely. But another way to look at it is, you know, we're going to get to see some of these great young players come through. Like, you know, I'm just looking through the team list now. So you got like Will for the Indigenous guys, Will Kennedy, you know, Selwyn Cobbo, Torrell Sloan's just been called in, Shakai Mitchell, guys like this that we, you know, haven't seen too much of, and we know they're just going to come in there and excel. So we can talk about the big names that are out. I'd rather, you know, talk about these young ones coming through and how exciting they will be on that pitch on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, that was a massive feature of last year's All-Stars game where you had, or even the year before, we had guys like Jermaine Tanua-Brown, Wiramu Greg, Josh Kerr, Josh Curran, all those sort of guys that came into the spotlight based on this All-Stars game. And yeah, it's a great opportunity to see some young talent, even guys like looking down this list, like, you know, Royce Hunt, TC Rabadi, guys that the average NRL fan may not have seen much of, and they get to showcase their talents on a big stage.
Absolutely, like even like Aaron Clark in the hooking role and for the Maori team, and it's just, you know, some of these young guys are, you know, going to shine on Saturday night, and that'll be the talking point come Sunday anyway. So I know it's a bit of drama, and the media love to sort of talk about these players that aren't in there, but on Sunday or even Saturday night, that's what they're going to be talking about. So it'll be good.
Yeah, very very entertaining game. I did touch on the Latrell Mitchell thing. What's your thoughts on the whole situation regarding the suspension?
Yeah, I said it a few weeks ago. I was like, you know, it's either got to be counted towards his suspension or just let him play. It's either an it's an exhibition game. Like, I know it's a cultural and very significant game. I'm not downplaying at all. But at the end of the day, it's not regarded as a test match. It is still a representative match. But the fact that they've come out and said, he can play in the Charity Shield, and his type of suspension, I believe players in the past are allowed to play in trials, but they're not allowed to play in round games. So that sort of fits that narrative. But then it's like, why not let him play in this game? It doesn't mean anything to the season. It doesn't mean anything to, no team is disadvantaged by him playing. And no team is really advantaged by him playing either. So, he should be allowed to play, or at least the game counted as a part of his suspension. So I think he's got 3 games left or something. So that should be counted, and then he's out rounds 1 and 2. The fact that he's suspended from this game and the first 3 rounds of the season is just stupid, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I think honestly, part of the reason in my eyes that they haven't counted this one is, and look, it's common sense. You count it if you're going to suspend him for that game, but they've got that Roosters versus Rabbitohs matchup lined up as the date where Latrell comes back. So I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing there, but they're lacking common sense. I think. Have you seen the NRL Dons page?
Yeah, I love the Don.
Yeah, I love him. He produces some great content. I think he summed it up best in one of his recap videos. It's fine because the Charity Shield is a rivalry with heaps of tradition and a strong cultural clash, and the Indigenous All Stars game is the exact same.
Yeah. He summed it up. He summed it up perfect. Yeah.
It was brilliant.
And that's a sentiment of so many fans as well. That same thing is, why is it not counted, and why is he allowed to play? There's just, we need an answer on that. No one seems to be coming up with it. No one seems to be addressing it, and a lot of fans are talking about it. So the NRL wanted to jump on the front foot and just explain it and just say these are the reasons why. It'd stop everyone, but the fact they haven't is
Well, they haven't done that at all. Do you think? I've just sort of thought of this now. Do you think the tide's sort of turning against Peter V'landys in terms of the overwhelming opinion of how he's done at the top job? Because I know when he first came in, everyone was praising him, and you had Saint PVL, all that sort of stuff going around. But now it sort of seems like people are turning on, because he's just made a few decisions that I'm just a little bit iffy about.
Yeah, look, there's 2 sides to it, isn't it? There's the fans that are overwhelmingly in support of him because of what he did to get the game back up and running. And look, to be honest, without him, I don't think we would have got a game back up and running as quickly as we did. And you can see, AFL jumped on what we did, and they got their game back up and running as well. So, that needs to be praised. But then there's also things, those same people won't criticize him in anything that he gets wrong. So it's the majority media and that are praising him, saying how good of a job. Remember, he did this. But then when he does something wrong, they go very quiet. And it's just, a lot of the fans, you look on Twitter and social media and things like that are against him in a lot of the decisions he's made. Like the 6 again was rushed in, and all the rule changes and things like that. So I think the media that are always out there praising him need to be a little bit more critical of the stuff that he gets wrong and make it a bit more of an even playing field, because right now they're not doing it. And it's just, it's going to continue on because he has those people up in the higher ups in the media. So as for the tide turning, look, I think there's still a strong presence of people against what he's been doing, but I just don't think they'll get anywhere because of the top media that just will continually praise him and say that he's doing the absolute best.
Yeah, well, I've been a massive fan of PVL for a while, because when he did come in, I thought the 6 again was actually a pretty good rule change at first. Last year, it sort of got a little bit overdone, but at first it was a great rule change. I thought he'd done a great job to get us back up, and he's a great businessman. And I'm a massive horse racing fan as well. And he's done a really good job with Racing New South Wales and really drawing the attention back into that. And he's a great businessman, but in terms of some of the decisions he's made lately, like the forward pass technology as well, that he's looking at bringing in, it's like, haven't you learned that you need to probably just wait a second in terms of bringing in new technology and bringing in new rules and stuff like that? But it seems that he's not learning from the criticism that he's getting, or maybe he's just not hearing the criticisms because he's just pushing it away and saying, no, what I say goes.
That's the type of guy he is too. He doesn't really care about what the naysayers are saying. He'll just keep pushing forward. And sometimes that's what you need in an administrator. I'd love to wonder, like, if Todd Greenberg was still in when the game was up and running, and he brought in these changes, and when we had the blowout scores, the head high crackdown during Magic round and all that. What would they be saying about him? I guarantee he wouldn't have lasted that end of that Magic round weekend. He would have been walking out on Monday morning. So, it's just, look, I don't mind it. Sometimes he's been, that on the front foot always and pushing game, don't care what anyone says. Sometimes that's good. But I don't think he's the type of guy that admits when he's wrong. And if you look at the Six again with, them bringing in, there's going to be penalties now within the opposition 40 if the ruck infringements are offside. It's basically admitting that Six again rule is not quite the answer. So it's admitting that you got it wrong. So look, give him a few more years and we'll see what the game's like in 2024, 25.
Yeah, well, it's always going to be interesting to see. And what's going to be even more interesting to see is when 2023 rolls around and his first expansion club comes in, another idea of his, which copped a lot of backfire because little bit of struggling with the talent, I guess people were saying. So far, their signings, they've picked up Jermaine Azarko, Mark Nichols, Jesse Bromwich, Felice Kafusi, Kenny Bromwich, Ray Stone. Apologies because I don't know how to pronounce this name, but Vauntifare. I'm just going to...
I'll just let you go with that one.
Yeah, I'll just try it.
Yeah.
Don't know why I tried it. I'm just going to leave it at that. But Harrison Graham on a development and Michael Roberts on a development. What's your thoughts on the Dolphins recruitment? Has Wayne done his job up there, or does he probably need to start getting a few more backs and a few more young talents? Yeah,
look, I don't think anything needs to be sort of rushed. We're still 13 months until that season that 2023 kicks off. Not that you want to be leaving it a few months before kickoff, but there's still, players are undecided on what they're doing even this year. So there's plenty of time. It's the signings he's done so far is nothing fancy, but it's very solid in my opinion. Those forwards. He's gone for a lot of experience in them. The guys from Melbourne, they're coming from a great system. He's worked with Mark Nichols before, and he knows his experience. He made him one of the South Sydney captains halfway through that year. So he knows what he can do and leader. I understand the funny retirement job. Like some of these guys are older. It is funny, but it's not like they're no names like Felice Kafusi, the Bromwich brothers, Nichols, like I said. And if I'm a young forward too, I'd probably want to go up there. There's almost guarantee you're probably going to get more time than, let's say if you're a forward at the Parramatta Eels where they've got a solid forward pack or somewhere else. So I'd be looking at, if I'm a young player, wanting to go there, develop my game under a great coach, under some experienced forwards, some leaders, I'd be wanting to go there. He's probably going to struggle to get some backs until he gets his halves sorted. So that's his next step. I would look at some halves. Who that is. Look, don't know. There's plenty of names out there, but that's who he needs to target next.
Yeah, well, I was talking to someone about this a couple of weeks ago. The Dolphins aren't going to get all these star players left, right, and center because at the end of the day, there's a salary cap, and it's going to be hard to lure people out of their current contracts to come up to Redcliffe. And, well, I mean, they're not even Redcliffe anymore. That's another marketing thing that I don't understand. But the fact that they've managed to get guys like Jesse Bromwich, Kenny Bromwich, Felice Kafusi, those are some massive signings and really underappreciated. And I made a post as well about it. I was saying these are such underrated signings for the club because that's the foundation. These guys are the foundation for which you can build those talents off. You could get a rookie halfback, 5'8", rookie fullback, whichever position it may be, rookie backs, who could learn off these guys and become extremely talented players. And then you build towards that. And Wayne's no stranger to a foundation, not a foundation club, a new club anyway, because he was the one at Broncos when they started. So he knows what he's doing. I have faith in him. And look, the guys that they've got linked to him, I'll be really impressed if they get him. The guys like Reece Walsh and even Anthony Milford and guys like that. Imagine Reece Walsh off the back of this forward pack. What he'd be able to do. And getting taught by Wayne Bennett as well. Like,
yeah, look, you can't really ask, like, you think about it, Redcliffe's a great spot. You're under one of the greatest coaches of all time. You're almost guaranteed play. Like, if you're a fringe first grader now, you're almost guaranteed, or not guaranteed, but you're going to be closer to a starting spot than what you are now. So there's plenty of incentives for players to think about going there. Like I said, he's got some decent forwards there. He'll bring in some young guys. They will come. There will be some names pop up. There'll be, you got to think all these other teams now are going to be, signing other players from other clubs as well. So it's going to rustle some feathers. There's going to be some players go, oh, hold on, you signed that guy ahead of me. I've got an offer to go to the Dolphins where I'm probably going to get a starting spot or more playing time. I'm going to take that. So there's still plenty of time to play out. There's still plenty of massive storylines to happen. So it is exciting. I really can't wait. And like you said, some of those names he's linked to, Reece Walsh, if he goes there, he could be that star for the next, 10 years at that club. Milford, if that's what he wants to go with, even look at like Jack Bird or Lockie Lamb or, Dylan Brown's off contract as well. Like, he's got a player option for 2023 at the, I'm not sure if he's extended yet or not, but, there's some guys there that you can, start looking at. And if he starts getting that playmaker organised, then, or even like a star recruit, right now he hasn't got that big name. If he gets that, then more players are going to follow.
Yeah, well, I'm not disappointed in the job that he's done, and he's one big signing away from having a really solid side there, and it's I'm going to start calling it the Fafita effect, where you get one big name and then other big names want to follow, or other good players want to follow. So say he gets Reece Walsh, that might be able to drag Dylan Brown out of taking a player option, as much as I'd hate to say it, because I don't want Dylan Brown leaving us, but just one big signing away, but they don't, like you said, don't have to rush it. And Wayne Bennett's probably going to do a good job up there. And also another thing that I wanted to bring up with the Dolphins is I think people are expecting them to win something within the first 5 years. They've got this heavy expectation that when they come in, they'll probably do good. And the fact of the matter is they probably come in the first season and miss the 8. Because it would take a long time. And the Broncos, they had the most stacked side that you could imagine. And you talk about the greatest sides of all time, and that's that 92 Broncos comes up. But you forget that from 88 to 92, they hadn't made a grand final. They weren't one of the top teams, and it took them a while. And that's something that's gonna drag with the Dolphins. And in the social media age, what do you reckon with this in the social media age? Do you reckon that pressures a few people away from going to the Dolphins?
Yeah. Look, Sydney's sort of the hub, isn't it? Like, you want to be in that Sydney club, take advantage of that media and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, like, you don't want to be going to a club that doesn't have that star power. Almost every club has that one star of some magnitude. So, it would have an effect. Social media's only been around, 15 years or something, but, players are starting to take a lot more interest into it, a lot more things. So yeah, that definitely has an effect on it. Another thing we can think about, everyone sort of came out when they first announced that the Dolphins are going to be the thing. People were saying they need to sign a marquee player as their first player. And when they didn't do that, it was almost like, oh, you failed as that first signature's, failed. But apart from, I think it was like the Titans when they came in 2007, they got like Preston Campbell, Matt Rogers, and things like that. That they had those big names when they first came in. I think it's like, oh, we need to follow that concept. But you look at the Titans, they haven't, made a grand final. They haven't consistently made the 8. They're not a, top side by any means. They might be building back up there. But if we're looking at that as the foundation, then it really hasn't worked, has it? So maybe the way Wayne Bennett's going about it is the right way, and we'll find out in a couple of years.
Yeah, well, it's only something time will tell us. And look, it's not shaping up to be a bad side, and we probably look at it in 6 months' time or 8 months' time, and we think, yeah, those were some really good signings, because that's the foundation for what can be a great club.
Look at guys like just throw out another name like Matt Duffy. He's only got a 1-year deal at the Bulldogs. He might come out and blitz it in the first, month to 6 weeks of the competition. And all of a sudden, he's like demanding a little bit more money. A few more clubs are chasing him. He might go, look, Dolphins give me some good money to go up there. He can go up there. There's plenty of players like that, and that's just one name. I'm not saying Matt Duffy's a superstar or anything like that, but that's one name that, are on these, short contracts, or you forget about, that are, could start negotiating come November, or could even negotiate now, that come out and blitz it in the first, few weeks of the competition, and all of a sudden Wayne's on the phone getting them up to Redcliffe the Dolphins.
Yeah. There is a lot of guys that can target. I'm even thinking, I think Jack Bird's off contract then. Helam Lukey is another one.
Yep.
Jeremiah Nanai, I think he's been linked there actually. In recent, I don't know if I've gotten that wrong or not, but Jeremiah Nanai would even be a massive signing. And I think Wayne Bennett will be looking at these rookies. Even I think Selwyn Cobbo. There's a lot of talk sort of getting around now that he might be moving up there. Not moving up there, but moving to the Dolphins. So look, I can't wait to see what rookies go there, because that will be an important factor as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, if they come out and blitz it in the first few weeks, they're all of a sudden they're starting to demand a little bit more money. Whether Wayne wants to pay it or not, someone will. So, a lot of them might be just waiting. They look, I don't want to sign just yet. I want to go out and show what I can. I haven't had a real good chance to show what I can do. They go out there and start blitzing it, and all of a sudden they've got an extra 100K a year. So
it'll be interesting. Will be interesting to see. Massive. How I say, a polarizing team in the competition in the Parramatta Eels. I want to get your thoughts on them, and where do you think they're sitting? Because I know there's a lot of people that have them in the top 4. There's a lot of people that have them missing the 8. I've even seen. So where are your thoughts on them? And do you think they can take the next step this season, or do you think they're still a little bit away, or do you think they falter with all those guys leaving in 2023?
It's really now or never for them. Like this, the thought of a premiership window is, closing with, they're losing Isaiah Papali'i, Reid Marnie next year, Ray Stone. Who else are they're losing?
Ray as well.
Nick Corey, yep. So, I think, it's this year or they could be looking at a bit of a, transition where they they'll be in the mix, but I just don't think they have that next jump in them just yet, especially if they lose. Well, they're losing Marnie. I say Mahoney. I always say Mahoney because I'm a huge fan of the Police Academy films, and there's a character in there called Mahoney, and I just always say it's spelled the same, so always get that mixed up. But yeah, until someone actually come out and said, no, it's Marnie. Okay, cool. But yeah, so they're losing him next year. So it's and he's pivotal for them. So look, they're going to start. I haven't got him in my top 4, but they're there. And you got to think they were, what was it, 2 points against that game against the Panthers. So they weren't that far away this year, but they're going to. I think it's going to take a little bit of a miracle for them to take that next step this year. And whether it's a belief thing, whether it's their coaching, whether it's I don't know what it is with them, but I don't know. I'm not. If I'm you as a fan, I'm not getting too hopeful.
I'm probably getting a little bit too hopeful at this point, because that game up against Penrith, I think that showed that they're ready mentally, in a sense, to go with the big sides and go in the big games, and that's something that I thought they'd struggled with for the last couple of years, is when they get onto that big stage, they just don't look mentally tough enough. I mean, we won one finals game in the last 6 appearances that we've had, and that was a 58-0 demolition of the Broncos, who the next year won the wooden spoon. So
yeah,
I was coming into that final series last year. I was sort of like, this is going to be another tough one. We get it done over the Knights in a little bit sloppy fashion. I thought, yeah, I don't know. But that Penrith game, I think, showed that mentally. I think they're ready to perform in the tough games. And I think Dylan Brown, Will Penasini, if these guys can step up and live up to their potential, I think we're a chance. And I think we're a top four hopeful. I think we can go a long way into the competition. But look, I think we need to make a prelim just to prove within the squad that they're capable in a sense. Because if you get done in the semi-finals again, or if you don't make the top 6, then I think 2023 is going to be a tough one. We may miss the 8 and may even fall lower that into the bottom 4. So this year's going to be massive for us. And if we fail, it could really be a telltale sign for the years to come.
I think, like you said, that, and we sort of both pointed out that Penrith game where they performed in that big game, but they've never taken that next step of actually winning that big game. And that's, once they get that sort of monkey off their back, they can make the top 4 and knock off. Like, let's say they finish 4th and then knock off. I'm sort of predicting, or I think the Roosters and Panthers will be the 2 strong teams this year.
Yeah.
Melbourne obviously up there as well. But let's say they finish 4th and they have to take on Panthers at home. We've seen what they did in 2021. They will use that as motivation. If they can get that win, that big win, make it to the prelim, week off, that would be, that's their run right there. So, yeah, look, like I said, it's now or never for them with them losing Marnie and Papali'i and a few others in 2023.
Yeah. Well, the way I've got Roosters as that top team, as the team to beat, and obviously Panthers will be in and around there, Storm will be in and around there, but I think I'm honestly hoping we get the Storm, because I know, as weird as it sounds because of how successful the Storm is, but I feel like Para's very much a confidence team. And if they come into a game knowing that they're a good sniff at winning, then they'll come into it and they'll play their best. And you see that, and it's, as bad as it sounds to say, they're probably the flat track bullies of the competition over Manly, in a sense where they come into a game with confidence, and especially guys like Mitch Moses, Clint Gutherson, they're very much confidence players. They'll come in and play their best games and put it. And I think if we verse the Storm, it's a team where we have confidence against because we've beaten them on multiple occasions. Yeah. I think that's.
You look at like the last couple of years. You had the wood over them this year. You ended the streak that they had. Yeah. Was it like 2016? You went down there and you end up losing the game, but I think you're leading like 16. Yeah, we'll lead 16-0 at halftime or something.
Oh, it wasn't. I think it was 10 all at halftime or something along those lines.
But I think you shot out and it was like, holy shit, like the first 20 minutes was like
that Mitchell Moses flick pass to Will Smith, like that crazy. Yeah. Like, the Storm's been a
you're right, like that mental thing. If they, if you get them and get them down there and they use that and they go, hey, we did this and we knocked them off in here, and you've got that mental thing. Yeah, it could be a huge advantage.
And it's the same with up against Penrith. I know Penrith have sort of beaten us. They've had a winning record over us, but whenever we verse Penrith, we seem to lift as well. And it's because of that like Western Suburbs rivalry and all that sort of thing. And I'd hate, and this is how I see the comp panning out anyway. I've got the Roosters on top in the minor premiership and Eels at 4th. I'd hate to have to verse the Roosters because I think they've pumped us for the last however long I've been watching Para. Like whenever I watch a Para versus Roosters game, I'm expecting us to get absolutely flogged. And that might be just a confidence issue when you're against them because they know that their backs are up against the wall when they're versing them. And that's sort of the reason why I have them going so much better this year, is because up against Panthers, their back was against the wall, and up against Storm, even. I know I just went on that whole talk about how we got confidence against Storm, but back was up against the wall because we've just been pumped 56-10, and they mentally lifted. And that's going to be their biggest challenge. Can they mentally lift again this season? And it's going to be interesting to watch. What's the future of Dylan Brown looks like? Can Mitchell Moses take the next step in terms of being one of those elite halfbacks? It's going to be good watching, and maybe terrible watching as a Para fan if it all goes south.
Yeah, it's hard one. Like you see him lift for some of those big teams and get the big wins, and then you come up against like a I won't pick a side, but you come up against a side that's not in the top 8, not tipped to beat you. You might be favourite for the game, and all of a sudden you're getting pumped at half time, and they lose that mental edge. So yeah, look. I'm a Dragons fan, so I understand your pain of following a team that doesn't quite live up to your expectations.
Yeah. Well, the Dragons have been that team that have been sort of sitting at the edge of the 8 or just outside the 8 that have been our sort of bogey team. You seem to beat us most years. That
if we come up against you, like I said, if we're like sitting, 12th or something, and you guys are in the 4, and you guys are paying like $1.20 to beat us, and odds on sort of favourites, and you come out, we live. It's weird. Like we'll live for those games, and some teams will. And Parramatta's the type of team where they'll come in, like you watch them and you go, almost everyone's in unanimous support saying they'll win this game, and then all of a sudden they just falter and can't seem to get their groove, and it's almost like they think we've got this game in the bag already before they even run out, and that'll hurt you.
Yeah, it's all a mental game with Para, and I'm of the opinion that they're a team which I'd rather see claw their way back into a game than actually just blow a team off the park. Because when they crawl back into a game, I know that they're mentally they're right. In terms of individual players within the set side, what's your thoughts of Dylan Brown? We'll start off talking about him. He's a player that's been scrutinised a lot for the lack of try assists and tries last season. I think he's the best defensive half in the competition. I think he's got brilliant potential with his running game. Where do you see him going in 2022?
Yeah, good question. I think he's sort of almost sort of forgotten about when it comes to that team. Like you got Mitch Moses, Clint Gutherson, who when you lose, they take a lot of heat. He is scrutinised, but a lot of people don't look at that defensive side of things. Mitch Moses controls that team, and he handles a lot of it. So, can he take the next step this year? I hope so. Like, because I think he's a really good player. He's got so much potential, and I want to see him succeed. I want to see him, lift in those big games, and he's such a good character as well. So, yeah, look, can he take the next step? That really depends on the whole team, doesn't it? Like, what Parramatta do. If they fail, is it going to be all on his shoulders? Is it going to be, and if they win, sometimes, when they win, he needs to get a little bit of that recognition as well, which he doesn't. I think it goes to a lot of their forward pack or Gutho's, run for 300 meters or something like that, or Mitch Moses might have done, 2 try assists in that game or whatever, where Dylan's played really well. He'll get a lot of the accolades. So I think we sort of forget about, in those wins, those big names taking a lot of the spotlight off him. But yeah, I hope he does take that next step, because he's, like I said, genuine player, genuine potential, and could be a superstar of the game if he does take that next step.
Well, you think about when he burst onto the scene in 2019 and even 2020, where he was just, his running game was phenomenal. And he was one of those players where just like whenever he had the ball, he looked like he would break through the line. And I think he was half a stride short of that this season, where there was a lot of situations, if you watch the Para games closely, where he would go halfway through the line and get like ankled on the way through, or just get stopped short, or get halfway through the line, but not quite break it. And those are the things that don't show up on the stat sheet, where if he was half a stride better than that last season, he would have had 10 more line breaks and probably a couple more tries and even more try assists, that sort of thing. So I just think for him, it's about, I don't know, it's about just gaining that half a stride where he's able to then break through off those really damaging runs that he does. And he scored a try up against the Titans where he displayed that. And I think if he can just gain that, I don't know what it is. Maybe he needs a little bit more speed. I don't think that's a problem.
Is it like a confidence thing? Like maybe he's just taking that little half step down. Can I do it? Can I do it? And that slows him down just that little bit as well. Like,
it might be.
If he has that confidence to no, I'm going to take on the line today and just back himself, then what you're saying, he could get those line breaks or get that little extra step that he needs.
Yeah, because he is the best defensive half in the competition, no doubt in my mind. I think Nathan Cleary's definitely up there, probably just off him. But those cover tackles, the commitment, the effort that he puts in, week out, it just needs to be backed up by that attacking flair that we all know that he has, but hasn't really produced last season. So he'll be an interesting watch. Mitch Moses, probably the most overhated player in the competition. I think you'll be able to agree with that in the sense that his Origin performance was the epitome of that. Where he came out, I didn't think he played that bad of a game. I actually thought he was good, and people still wanted to scrutinise him for whatever it was. What's your thoughts on him, and can he be that match winning halfback?
Yeah, I think he comes plays that game, we lose, so automatically it's like the Mitchell Pearce effect. When we lose, it's his fault. When we win, it's got nothing to do with him. So, look, exceptional player, exceptional halfback. Again, so much potential, and he's shown that. Like you don't get picked in Origin unless you're a quality player. So he is. I think he came into the Parramatta squad, big expectation, big pay packet, all that sort of stuff that that was floated around. So that's always going to be a heavy criticism on him, but yeah, he is overhated. I don't understand, the hate that he gets. I think it's, sometimes his demeanor on field, like he can come off as, when the Caps, here's the thing, right? People that dislike him will use it and say he's arrogant, he's cocky, blah, blah, blah. If that's your favorite player, that's the passion that you want to see. Like you see that in like guys like Tyson Gamble. I love seeing it when he's doing it. And I'm not saying I don't like it in Mitchell Moses. I do. I'm not saying he's arrogant at all. I'm saying, people confuse that that passion for the game and the want to win the games as cockiness and arrogance. Instead, it's just passion, and he does have that. I think some of the from what happened in 2021 with the Parramatta Eels, him getting selected in that Origin, he's going to use that. I sort of think they probably think we're losing a couple of players as well. They probably know that, and they'll want to go out there and defy what the skeptics are writing them off and things like that. So he'll want to go out and prove them wrong, and I hope he does, and I hope he steps up and takes it, because he can be one of the top halfbacks in the game. Yeah,
his kicking game has come such a long way. I thought he kicked New South Wales back into the game in that second half in the Origin game, and that was something that I thought he was just lacking a little bit, was that game management and that kicking game and all that sort of thing. And he's sort of really grown into that in 2021. And he lost he didn't lose the highlights. There was less highlights of him, like, those 80-meter breaks where he'd sprint down, score in the corner. He wasn't doing as much of that, but I thought he'd grown so much as a player through that. And I think he can be, I think he can be a game-winning halfback, and I think he can grow this year. And the guru says it all the time, 27 to 30 is your prime age for a half, and he's getting into that age now. And I think
he's 27 this year, is he, or is he already 27?
Yeah, I think he's turning 28 this year, but he'll play the majority of the 27. So yeah, he's getting into that. He's getting into that age. He's starting to really mature, and I think 2022 is Parramatta's best shot at a premiership that they've had in a while, and I think it's their only chance at a premiership for the next couple of years. So I think Mitchell Moses really is ready to take the next step, and I'll back him in to do so, because he can be a really talented player. Clint Gutherson named as co-captains with Junior Paulo this year. I think that's a really good decision. I love the fact that Junior Paulo got given that role. He's been leading our forward pack for a long time, and he'll do a really good job there. In terms of Clint Gutherson in particular, though, is he a top 5 fullback in the game at this point, or is he just off just because of that lack of maybe X factor or whatever it may be?
Personal opinion, like, he's knocking on that door. He's not in my top 5, but he's very close. And it's one of those positions, like, there's only one fullback on the team, isn't there? So to be even close to that top 5 in all the game, is pretty special. So, you look at some of the superstars above him, though, you go like, Tom Trbojevic, Tedesco, Mitchell, Callum Pong and things like that. So, he's there and thereabouts. Like I said, I think he's knocking on the door. But if you look at him, like, his game, again, he's passionate. He's very strong. Always taking those strong carries. Very strong leader. He's a real clubman. Like you hear the way people talk about him. I think he also led the league in meters for a fullback, but maybe on average he might have been down under a few because they didn't play as many games as him. But
yeah, I think in 2020 he led average meters and total meters because 2020 was a massive year for him.
So yeah, and like I said, you listen to the players, the way they speak about him. If you watch that interview with Junior Paulo when they named the captains, the way he speaks about him there just shows the respect that he has amongst the playing group, the way the players respond to him and what they say about him. And I just think he's the guy one of the guys that you want in the locker room. He might not be as flashy as or as talented as some of these other big guns, but he's a guy that you'd want in the locker room. So, like I said, I think he's right on the edge of that top 5. Yeah, he doesn't have that superstar about him, but he's pretty special.
Yeah, I think the fact that he took a wooden spoon side to top 4 is a testament to that. The fact that he's such a natural leader and his effort week in, week out, it's phenomenal. And he's been a real key part of Parramatta's success over the last couple of years.
I don't think there's much difference between his bad game and his best game either. So that's what you want from every player. You want that gap to be as small as possible.
Yeah.
And I think he does that. Like the team mightn't perform each week, but when it's when it's him leading the team every week, he goes out there and shows exactly what he can do. So
he's effort phenomenal, and people don't appreciate that out of a player. They like to see the flashy highlights and stuff like that. But we'll move on now to the part that I've been really waiting to get to. I decided to send you. We'll do a head-to-head of making him player with a last name, starting with on your side the roast, the R's, and on my side the S's. I'll hear your side first because must have been really interesting trying to find those guys in the last.
Yeah, it was like I use the page and you did as well, and I'll give them a shout out the Rugby League project.
Yeah,
great site for all the things. But mate, I struggled to find players with the last name R in this year's squad. Now I may have missed a few, and I hope I haven't, but here it is. So at fullback, I've gone Cody Ramsey. I've had to chuck him. I couldn't find any other fullbacks with an R, so I'll chuck him in there. My wingers, I've got Jordan Rapana and Michaeli Ravalawa.
Yep.
Michaeli Ravalawa, sorry. And my centers, James Roberts and Jesse Ramian. In the halves, I've got the 2 Reynolds. Now, I couldn't find a 5'8" or anyone that I could put in the 5'8" spot from the NRL. So what I did was I went NRL players that are currently playing in Super League, and I brought one back, and that's Joshy Reynolds in the 6.
Yep.
And I've got him partnered with Adam Reynolds in the 7. So they're my halves. Front row. Now, another one I struggled here. I couldn't find many forwards with the R, so I've had to bring in one of my favourite players of all time. He played for the Dragons and the Roosters. That's Jason Riles in the 8, and he's partnered along with Toby Rudolph. So I've got them in the front row, and at the 9, I've got Mitch Rain.
Yeah, sounds like I was just stuff you up here with giving you the R's. Might have had to change it up a bit, give you the N for the NRL roast or something.
Yeah. I was almost going to go first names R as well, because I was like, I could bring in Reece Walsh, I could bring in a few others.
But, a lot of people.
No, I got through it. And my back row, I've got 11, Jordan Ricky up there in the Broncos, pretty Ricky. Number 12, Reece Robson, and number 13, couldn't miss Victor Radley.
Yeah,
I'll make him a captain as well.
Yeah. Well, I was just I was thinking before I'd done it, I was like, oh, who's going to have in his team? And the first I thought of was Victor Radley, but then I kept thinking back for the fullbacks. I was actually surprised that you got a guy like Cody Ramsey. I thought you were going to have to go through the depths of like rookies and stuff like that to try and find someone because I couldn't think of anyone.
Well, I went with players that had made an appearance last year.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, who had played a game. So I was like, I didn't want to go players that were, you know, up and coming. A lot of people might know them.
Yeah.
So I tried to stick with, you know, everyone that had played at least one game in the NRL. And like I said, the only two were the 5'8" and a front rower.
Yeah.
And I think I did all right just bringing those ones back. Cheating a little bit, but
yeah. So we'll go through my team now. I reckon I was a little bit spoiled for choice here, to be honest, because I had a lot of guys that are sort of fringe first graders, but quality players nonetheless that I could choose from. But I've ended up going with this team. I got Xavier Savage out the back,
nice.
up-and-coming weapon. I think he'll be really good this year.
Macho Man Xavier Savage. I call him the Macho Man.
Yeah, I love him. He's going to be a great player. Then I've got on the wings Micah Seaver, and I've gone Harley Smith Shields on the other wing. Another Raiders rookies. I think he's going to be really good. Unfortunately, with the ACL injury, I was a bit devoed by that because didn't get to see him this year, but I've got him there. I've got Katoni Staggs and Remus Smith in the centers. Not a bad pairing.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, that centers was actually pretty spoiled for choice, if I'm being honest. And I switched it around a few times, but Katoni Staggs and Remus Smith, good options. I've gone Josh Schuster at the 6. I was originally going to put him at the back row, but I didn't really have any other options at 6. And I got Toby Sexton in the 7, Sexton.
Yep.
So
yeah, sexy.
And then in the forward pack, I've gone the Saifidi brothers. Pretty simple, like just simple. Love that you've just given me two brothers who are both top talents with the same last name. So Brandon Smith at the 9.
Nice.
Tarek Sims and Jaden Sewer, my back row.
Oh, both Dragons boys. Nice.
Yeah. And I've gone with Ryan Sutton for my 13.
Very solid.
Solid side.
Right.
Yeah.
I think your backs get me, but I'll probably say you. Yeah. I was going to say your forward pack gets me as well. I think you've got me all over the park here.
Well, I've just been given the easy option, like S Smith. Just I've got 3 blokes with the last name Smith or some variety of that. So
yeah,
it's just done. I've done myself a few favors there. I might add.
No, you've done right, but it was a good challenge because it made you sort of go back and have a look at some players that you know. It's just really hard to pick because you go like, oh, am I missing someone? You don't want to miss someone, you know, really obvious. And so I went through every single team. I went through them twice, just double check and make sure I haven't missed anyone. The best thing about that site is it's just all alphabetical. So you go into a team and you scroll down, and I'd be like, just hoping. And I was like, nah, there's none there. And I went through like 4 teams. There was not one player with the last name R. I'm like, shit, I'm going to struggle here. So, got it done. Got it done in the end.
Yeah, well, what I ended up doing was I copied and pasted last name S from that Rugby League project site, put it into a Google Docs, and then I ended up filtering each player into each position. So then I was making sure that I had every player in every position, and then I just go, all right, I want him there, I want him there, I want him there. Ended up going all right.
Nice. No, I just end up just going through finding the name, chucking it in. If I found someone better, I'd move that player up in the spot and just, you know, like I said, I end up having like Cody Ramsey just moved into so I could fit like Jordan Rapana and Ravalawa in there. So
it was a fun little challenge. So
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. It was a great chat. Really appreciate you coming on and hope to chat soon.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate your time, Jake. And had a good chat and can't wait to do it again.